This week on Canadian Whitetail.
Usually a guide, but sometimes the hunter. Setting up a spot for himself with the entire forest to play in. Tens of thousands of acres, but just one target buck. Preparing for that moment that we all dream of. And even with an unexpected encounter from the deer stand, keeping positive thoughts that he'll have his chance to notch his tag. Over the years, a lot of people have asked why. Why all the time? The work? Why has a passion transformed into a lifestyle? Our family's lifestyle? Why does it mean so much? The answer is so simple. All of that work, the scouting, the preparation, is for two reasons. To share the knowledge, the tradition, the love of deer, from those weathered with experience, to the next generation to carry. The other reason is even simpler. The work is to fuel that yearning desire, the longing for those split-second moments when all of that work comes together. Because those few times in a lifetime that it does, you no longer have to ask why when you experience moments like these with the biggest wild whitetails to ever walk.
I mean, he's a gorgeous deer that I couldn't be happier to take. He's just beautiful. What a fitting end to an incredible season.
Dean Partridge's Canadian Whitetail is proudly brought to you by Limb Saver, products that work. Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Elite Archery, the world's most shootable bow. Under Armour, go where you don't belong. Excalibur Crossbow, the most trusted crossbows on the planet. Big & J long-range attractants. The aroma is super strong. The range is super long. Central boiler, outdoor wood furnaces. Performance and value by design. Nocturnal lighted nocks. Switch on accuracy. The Whitetail Institute of North America. Slick Trick, the no excuses broadhead. Bog Pod, hunting rests, bipods, and tripods. Glendale, the biggest and toughest 3D targets in the universe. And by Dual. Get real with Dual game calls.
As time goes on, we seem to change what we do and what takes up that free time that we have. And for hunters like Jason Peterson, who's always busy on international trips and always guiding and outfitting more every year, well, there's one place that you can always call home, and that's the Whitetail Woods. Whether it's giant stags in New Zealand, Cape Buffalo in Africa, or a sheep on the side of a mountain, most of those hunting experiences were born right there in the deer woods. For most of us, that's where we started our hunting. And that's where we're going back to this week with Jason, to northern Saskatchewan, the land of giant whitetails.
Jason's success on big whitetails with his Excalibur crossbow has been well documented. From Wyoming hunting in the shadows of Devil's Tower, to right here at home hunting on one of our food plots, taking the infamous G2 buck. And all the way to the boreal forests of northern Saskatchewan.
Personally, I like to hunt all kinds of different animals, but the whitetail deer, I always come back to the whitetail deer.
And 2016 was no different. Late in the year, finally getting a chance to set up for himself. And after checking that trail camera, well, he had found a deer the like of which we all dream of. A massive non-typical, big heavy beam, split tines, a couple drops. Jason, well, he now had a target.
This segment has been brought to you by Hoyman. Portable, gas-free, and effective. Clearing shooting lanes has never been easier than with the new 40-volt battery-powered lightweight saw. appointment. Create your window of opportunity. This segment of Canadian Whitetail is brought to you by Nocturnal Lighted Nocks. Nocturnal Lighted Nocks, string activated, simple, switch on accuracy, and let it glow.
I went in, I checked the spot that I'd moved, and to my absolute utmost surprise, there is a big deer that's moved in there that I it really got my heart ticking. I knew by the trail camera pictures, no doubt about it, he was a mature deer. I'd never seen him before, and that's a lot of times, you know, when you're hunting the bigger bush country, you really never know what's there, and you could have new deer show up, and that's what happened here. We had a new buck. I had to get in there. I had to have a look at this deer.
A couple of practice shots to make sure his Excalibur Micro was still on, and it was time to hit the stand that Jason had set up for the big non-typical. After a long, slow morning, the first spike makes an appearance, pushing a doe through the area.
Little buck chasing some does around. It's a good sign. Been here about 2.5 hours and finally seen a deer.
As the rest of the day and the next day wear on, deer sightings are minimal, and Jason knows that he has to make a move.
I knew something wasn't quite right. The deer activity on the trail camera compared to the deer activity when I sat there was like night and day. It's time to rip her down and move on. Well, I think we might have got him licked here. We had the blind up about 100 yards up on the hill here. And I sat here for 2.5 days and we saw some deer, but it wasn't in the right spot. So I just packed it up and moved it. So I put the blind up there. I put some Big and J down here. So I think we got him beat. We're not coming from behind the blind anymore. So what we're gonna do, we'll cut some shooting lanes and put up a camera and see if one of these bucks shows up here. It was a bold move and we'll see if it worked out.
Reset up, Jason was hoping that the big non-typical was still in the area, and that this would be the spot.
Welcome to this week's Canadian Whitetail Scouting segment. Locate, learn, set up, hunt. Brought to you by Big and J Long Range Attractants. The aroma is super strong. The range is super long.
The hunter across the fence, or maybe sharing the same property that you're hunting, maybe even hunting the same bucks. Well, we've seen it for years, the animosity that can grow between those hunters that have often never met. These situations are not often talked about, but they happen regularly, and they can escalate to where people don't think their actions through because they're too worried that somebody else is going to shoot their deer, ultimately hurting the deer hunting and the deer in that area. Luckily, in North America, no one owns the deer. Any given deer on any given property is able to be hunted by anyone there legally, and that's not a bad thing. Get to know that hunter across the fence. You may not, but there's a good chance that you may share the same goals on letting deer walk or managing deer in that area. Quite often you can improve your own hunting and improve the area for the deer by working with that other hunter, rather than working against them to no one's benefit. Take that step and meet the other hunter. Strike up a conversation on how you might work together to create a more rewarding and enjoyable experience for all, while sharing hunting privileges on any given property.
This week's Canadian Whitetail Scouting segment has been brought to you by Big and J Long Range Attractants. This segment of Canadian Whitetail has been brought to you by Under Armour. Go where you don't belong.
Well, I just parked the bike here. Whew, that's a long, cold ride. Brr. I got about a 200, 300 yard walk in. The wind's not going to be real good for this spot. We kind of got a southeast wind. So from where the Big and J is up to the blind, it's pretty much straight north. So We're gonna kind of cut her. Most of the deer are coming from the west, but we'll hike in there. We'll get this onyx and everything set up. Give her. So I'll get the Excalibur out of the case and my pack. Let's roll. First things first.
Set up and ready, Jason was about to have a very rare encounter with an unwanted visitor. Unique and incredible to see a timber wolf at just 19 yards. However, this wolf would not help the deer hunting. Equally as incredible as seeing this wolf is the fact that one of the top predators had just been fooled by Jason's ozonics, coming in on a crosswind through Jason's scent stream.
So for 3 or 4 hours, I didn't see any deer, not a thing. And then finally, I look out and, you know, there's a fairly decent 5x5 coming around. You know, he'd probably be in that high 140, 150. I'm not a big score guy, but mature deer. And I really thought about taking this deer.
As this buck cautiously watches to Jason's right, Jason looks over to see a sight that words cannot explain. The big non-typical stepping out. With the buck within range, Jason slips his arms out of his heater bodysuit to get ready.
Whitetail Insights, brought to you by QDMA Canada, the Quality Deer Management Association of Canada, ensuring the future of whitetail deer.
Well, through scent with rubs and scrapes and the different glands on a deer and how they use them, you know, they communicate very well that way. But what are some vocal ways that deer communicate and how they can talk amongst themselves or let each other know what's going on in more audible ways?
Research has actually found numerous different sounds that deer will make to communicate with each other. Everything from literally calling mews that a doe will do to call her fawns to her to nurse, all the way up through at the other end, you know, the snort wheeze, you know, the most aggressive call they can have. So they do use a lot. There's a lot of grunts, a lot of bleats, things that communicate either a doe to a fawn, or, you know, bucks trying to find does or vice versa, or just a lot of communication, just keeping in line, you know, family groups as they are feeding in the field or something. So deer do that just to stay in touch, but as hunters, you know, we can certainly use those to our advantage to help call a deer in, or there's very few things that I always take with me deer hunting, and a grunt tube is one of them. Like, I will not go hunting without one.
Well, like you said, like a scrape on the ground, you can't necessarily tell exactly what deer used that, you know, because you don't have the ability to smell like a deer can. But those sounds, you can tell exactly what that deer means if you start to tune into that stuff. And we see it all the time. You said with the doe mews, we'll have doe and fawns around where she'll talk to them and they won't really pay attention. And then there's other noises she'll make where that fawn is by her instantly. You know, and we've thought it was just situational before, but as we watch them more, there's definitely different tones to that where it's, you know, she wants them there now. So when you start to better understand the vocalizations that these whitetails use amongst each other, how can a hunter take that and apply that to his hunting?
Well, certainly just understanding some of the calls that they make or sounds they make. Hunters can use those to draw deer closer during hunting season. And one of the neat things is if they're being good stewards and actually have a good balance of age structure out there, those calling tactics just tend to work a whole lot more.
This Whitetail Insight is brought to you by QDMA Canada. Become a member and ensure the future of whitetail deer. This segment has been brought to you by Central Boiler Outdoor Wood Furnaces. A central boiler easily connects to your existing forced air, in-floor radiant, baseboard, or dual heat system to heat your entire home in domestic water. Central Boiler, performance and value by design.
Before the break, the big 180+ inch non-typical had made an unlikely appearance after the Timberwolf, and Jason was ready. Big chocolate beams, splits, and drops, the buck is a deer born in any whitetail hunter's dreams. Quartering away at under 19 yards, Jason settles his Excalibur Micro to make his shot count.
I'm shaking so bad. I don't even need to whisper anymore. I had that little, first, what a day. I just got in the stand, just got in the blind here, and I heard a wolf howl about maybe 500 yards away. It was just starting to get light, and all of a sudden a big white wolf come walking in. So I didn't see nothing no deer until probably noonish, which is 4 or 5 hours later. And next thing, I could hear a deer coming, so I got everything ready, and I look out, and it's the big deer we're here to shoot. Again, I can't thank you enough, especially my family, and look forward to sitting in the north. There's nothing like it. Saw a wolf and a giant buck in the same day. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Holy, I'm still shaking. Look at this deer. Holy. Northern Saskatchewan has treated me well again. This buck showed up on my trail camera 3 days ago, and I knew I had to get in here. But look at the beams on that thing. I'd just like to thank everybody that come up hunting with us this year. And I had a great group of guys guiding, Josh and Kelsey. They give me an opportunity to get out for a couple days and do a little hunting on my own. They're taking care of the hunters back at camp, but shot them with a micro 355 Excalibur. Put it together, I don't know, a couple 3-4 weeks ago. Shot it like crazy in the yard whenever I had a chance, and I shot him at about 18-19 yards, and arrow blew through him, stuck in the tree, the old log there, and he made her about 25 yards, 30 yards max. Cranker of a deer, just an absolute cranker. Couldn't be happier. So as you can see, I love hunting whitetails. Another great whitetail with a crossbow. I've been fortunate. I've killed some darn nice whitetails, and just another one to add to the wall.
What I love about hunting the farmland is getting to know that deer over several years, 5, 6, 8 years, and then putting a plan in place to hunt that deer. But there's also a certain romance about hunting in northern Saskatchewan in that big bush where you're hunting a deer that you may not have known about for more than a few days. And when you're sitting in that stand and a giant that you don't know steps out, well, that feeling can be exhilarating. And the skills to hunting these bush bucks, while they're completely different than hunting the southern farmland deer, there's still a lot of skill involved, and Jason has it down to a science. And congratulations, Jason, on an absolutely fantastic deer. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Canadian Whitetail.
This segment of Canadian Whitetail is brought to you by Wild Edge and the ultimate climbing system, the Step Ladder. Safely design your climb in any tree, anywhere, with the most versatile, lightweight, and compact climbing system, the Step Ladder. Closed captioning for Canadian Whitetail is provided by huntsask.ca, your information source for Canada's best whitetail hunting. Hunt Saskatchewan, Canada. Canadian Whitetail has also been brought to you by the Heater Bodysuit, #1 in cold weather hunting gear, Black Eagle Arrows, superior carbon technology, Scott Archery, and CBE bow sights. Canadian Whitetail has also been brought to you by these fine sponsors. For exclusive content, follow Dean and the team on Facebook, as well as on Instagram and Twitter @WhitetailDean. To view all past and present episodes of Canadian Whitetail, as well as new original content, visit us on our YouTube and Carbon TV channels. For Canadian Whitetail gear and apparel, visit CanadianWhitetailTV.com.